Oh boy, this is a late one. Welcome in. It's the Bearcat Journal Nightcap, and I'm Chad Brendel. It's brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken, and it's been a night. It's been a good night. The Bearcats played tonight on the basketball court. Took care of FAMU, Florida A&M, 77-50 final score. We also had Greg Pierce, father of Alec Pierce, on the Pardon the Punctuation podcast. Look for that on the message boards, or go follow Pardon the Punctuation. If you're not following Pardon the Punctuation at this point, what are you doing? If you're not following this page at this point, what are you doing? Subscribe. Do the thing. Brought to you, of course, as always, by Galactic Fried Chicken. The best fried chicken in the city. They got legs, wings, thighs, breasts. Go to galacticfriedchicken.com. They got great chicken tenders. Download the app for Android, iPhone, and everything Galactic. You can get delivery for a good portion of Greater Cincinnati. How far away you live will determine the delivery costs. But go to the app, check it out, get the fried chicken and the mac and cheese and the mashed potatoes and the deviled eggs, and the fried pickles. Oh. And this. The Galactic Chipotle Honey Mustard Dipping Sauce. As good as any sauce in the city. Get that. All right, let's get down to business. Where's my guy? Where's my guy? There he is. Aaron Smith joining me once again for the BCJ Nightcap. Aaron, 77-50 win for the Bearcats. The first half, I didn't feel great. They were up by 12 at halftime. I didn't think they played all that well through that point of the game. But I thought the second half, immediately they came out. They put their foot on the gas. They put away an inferior opponent. And it felt like in that second half, this team started to get a little bit of their mojo back.
I think the biggest thing tonight was Jeremiah Davenport getting his mojo back.
In the second, yeah, in the second, 12 of his 14 or 14 of his 16, I think, in the second half. And
the fan base has been clamoring for him to, like, get right. Like, where have you been? I mean, one for 8 night against Xavier would bring anybody to that type of.
Here's what I think was the key for Jeremiah. He didn't have a great night from 3. Like, he didn't. No. You know, he was 2 of 8 from 3. So that part of his game that has become so integral to him having success, instead, he went 5 of 7 from 2. And he hit some nice, like, he backed down a defender a couple times. He had a baseline jumper. Like, he was doing a little bit more to get himself free, get himself going. And once he got going in that second half, the offense really took off. And I thought it was interesting. Wes Miller said in the post game that we'll have up on Bearcat Journal here in a little bit later tonight and into Wednesday.
Yeah,
these nights are getting long, bro. These nights are getting long.
The whole day's been long. I feel like I've been with you since 9 o'clock this morning.
Right. We had football practice this morning, straight back to Fifth Third Arena for basketball tonight, and then the PTP. And then this, and now we got to do Brendel's Bites, and then signing day starts like 5 minutes.
In less than 12 hours.
Yeah. So there's a lot going on. But Wes Miller said he sat down Jeremiah in the first half when he was checking out of the game, and like had a talk with him about, like, you got to quit forcing it. You got to let the game come to you. You got to be smart. You got to pick your spots. You can't just because you catch the ball and think it's time for you to make a 3. You can't catch the ball and fire a 3. And in the second half, you definitely saw more calm and controlled Jeremiah Davenport. And he talked about it, Jeremiah did, in the postgame as well, where he said, you know, Wes sat me down and, like, I listen to his advice because his advice is typically right. And tonight it was right.
It's weird to see Jeremiah shoot 2s. I mean, let's be all the way real.
Yeah.
So for him to go 5 of 7, clearly something's working. Let's hope that continues, because I don't let's be honest, he's not a great 3-point shooter. He's never been a great 3-point shooter.
He had a great year last year from three. Like,
sure.
Not great, but he had a really good year last year from three because he was taking really good threes. So far this year, he hasn't been taking really good threes. He's been squeezing off threes because he feels like this team needs me to be the man, right?
But he was the man tonight.
Right.
In all fairness.
By playing controlled.
By playing into his strengths. And maybe this was his strength all along. It wasn't, people on Twitter were ready to write Jeremiah Davenport off altogether. Last week.
There were like 6 people that were needed
this
to transfer.
Weekend. Yeah. But it was good to see him get into the transition of the game, the flow of the game, and start to work inside. And, it's not it's not ideal to have Jeremiah Davenport working in the 2 range, but maybe that's been the missing piece because all year last year he was shooting the catch and shoot, but at some point it goes cold. And if it goes cold, what else do you have? We haven't seen what else he has prior to tonight the whole season this year.
Yeah. So the basic takeaway for me on this game was that's a bad team. It's a bye game.
Sure.
You needed to get right.
Yeah.
The first half, I didn't think they did.
No, I agree. 100%, actually.
The second half, it felt like there was some get right. We saw A.J. McGinnis back in the fold. Mason Madsen out. Mason Madsen out with a hip injury that Miller said he's been dealing with for a little while. So they're going to give him some rest to get that back to 100%. But we saw A.J. McGinnis. We saw Jared Hensley maybe start to get some confidence and some mojo going. Look, here's the thing for me. Everybody is convinced we have to shorten this rotation. No. The strength of this team is in the numbers. It's in the numbers. The numbers say they have a bunch of guys that are all about the same talent level. But what happens? So this guy's cold, this guy's hot. Like, what happens if you shorten the numbers on a team there's not much differential? Now all of a sudden you're shortening the numbers on the number of guys that are going cold at the same time. You're hoping they all go hot at the same time. That's not really how this works. Like, when depth is your advantage, you don't play to your disadvantage, which is, okay, maybe we decide, if you're trying to think this through, maybe we decide Abdullah Doe is the guy that needs out of the rotation. And then you don't get the 14-point, 11 rebound Abdullah Doe that helped you win a game last week. Or maybe you decide Mike Adams-Woods you got to get this guy out of the rotation. And then you miss on a Mike Adams-Woods 15-point, 5-assist game that helps you win. When your strength is depth, you have to keep playing to that strength because you don't have Sean Kilpatrick or Jaron Cumberland or Jacob Evans on this team.
Right. I'll be real interested to see when Mason Madsen comes back, how the minutes are just kind of dispersed between him and Hensley, who's been playing very well of late, and between, whoever else comes into that fold. You know what I mean? But
Mason Madsen can play the 2. A.J. McGinnis can play the 2. That was the problem that we had been talking about.
Yeah.
Is that they really only had Mike Adams-Woods, David DeJulius, and Mike Saunders that were being effective at the 1 and the 2. If you add McGinnis and he gets going, and then you get Mason Madsen back healthy, he can help you as the combo guard, the 2. Now you have Jared Hensley helping John Newman at the 3.
Right.
And all of a sudden,
pieces are falling into place.
The pieces are falling into place because of the depth. Not because you shortened the rotation, because you kept it open.
Well, we're at 9.5 minutes. You want to talk about practice at football today?
We'll give a short little. If we go 12, 13 minutes tonight, I think people are going to be all right.
Just trying to look at things.
Evan Prater was outstanding today. And You and I was off having another conversation for most of practice today.
We were having looks, man. We were behind masks. We were still having looks.
I was off doing, like, I was still watching practice, but, like, we didn't hang out the entire practice today.
Sure didn't.
I had some other conversations I was having, and you were hanging with the media horde, and there were
trying to get away.
Yeah. There were some times, there were 5 or 6 throws, like not 1 or 2 throws today. There were 5 or 6 throws today where we were looking at each other from like 15 yards apart, like, he made that throw?
Right.
He made that throw?
Well, in all fairness,
that throw?
In all fairness, for the majority of the day where we were on this side of the 50-yard line, that's where Evan Prater was.
Huh?
Like we were on the side of the field where Evan Prater was the majority of the day.
Well, yeah, that's where the offense is on the side, that the defense is on the other side. Yeah,
it was even when the 1s and 2s were playing, like Evan Prater tended to be on our side of the field.
Yeah, but he made some throws from our side to the opposite side, like to the deep sideline. There was some stuff today that, like,
it was a great day for that kid.
That, like, we joked around with some people after practice, like, best Evan Prater day. And they wouldn't give the thumbs up, but they were like, it was pretty fucking good today. Pretty bleeping good today. Sorry, this is going on YouTube. I have to behave.
It was good to see a guy that we had concerns about, especially in the intermediate passes.
Yeah, that's, I think, where I walked away today. Really impressed. He stuck some balls in the intermediate, like over the middle, crossing routes.
He had zip on everything.
The deep sideline throws. They were coming out of his hand hot today.
Zip on everything. So you love to see that. Of course, you saw the defense stand out as they always do. But against Evan Prater, especially against the 2s, God, especially against the 2s, excelling. Yeah. Excelling.
And we got a little kerfuffle today.
There was that.
So what happens?
Not 1, but 2.
Yeah. Well, the 1 was the main one.
Yeah.
So what happens, like, so you got a lot of guys, when you get into bowl practice, right? You got to remember you've got like 40 scholarship players that have been kind of being scout team. Like 45 scholarship players that are your main guys, your 1s and 2s. Those are the main guys. And you got these other 40, 45 guys that are your scout team. They actually had their, like, regular jerseys on today for the first time in 3 months.
Sure did.
Like, Aaron will attest to this. I was looking around quizzing myself again on numbers.
You literally were reciting numbers and names, especially when the 14 came out.
That's how much of a nerd I am. I'm like, oh, crap, I got to remember again.
It made me feel like I hadn't done my job correctly.
Well, you got to remember, I spent a month at Higher Ground every day memorizing the numbers. And then what happens is they get to the start of the season, and all of a sudden they're in blue jerseys and green jerseys and yellow jerseys, and you don't know who anybody is anymore.
I was mad I didn't have this.
I was not, because I needed to quiz myself. I missed 2. I missed 2 walk-ons through my quizzing process. Everybody else I got right. But you're seeing these guys get back out there and compete. And a guy that's in the 2s, Jaheim Thomas, got tangled up with Mal Glenn. And those 2 went after it, boy. And I love, like, we're trying to, like, we know this team is trying to win a championship. But going forward, we're a big part of the future of this thing. And we're mixing it up. And those 2, that was a fun little skirmish between those 2.
Absolutely, it was fun. But I think you could tell from the beginning of practice the way that Luke Fickell was involved in ways that we didn't see him involved even back at Camp Higher Ground. Like the way that even the OC, DC, like the way that they were involved in the practice, this is not being taken lightly. So that's definitely a huge takeaway that I had this morning, is just how involved everyone is in ways that they were kind of hands off a little bit for the positional coaches, even in just regular drills that they were more involved in today. And that was exciting to see for a guy that hasn't been at practice since Higher Ground.
Yeah, it was a fun morning. It was a really good time. We'll be back there on Thursday. Tomorrow night, big one, roundtable with the former cast of Bearcats that we have assembled with Dave and I.
Looking forward to it.
Aaron will be on the 1s and 2s, so I'm excited for that. And then Thursday, we have a recruiting podcast with Mick and I that we've got a special guest that we're looking forward to. So it's going to be another big week. We'll be back at practice on Thursday morning. We've got the signing day press conference tomorrow. We've got UC basketball back at it on Saturday. Look, if you thought because the regular season ended in football that we were slowing down, dead wrong.
Nah.
Dead wrong. And what you need to do to consume all this content is get you some Galactic Fried Chicken. Sit down, click on YouTube, watch all the stuff that we got coming up. And I have scheduled tomorrow interviews with Mike Denbrock and Mike Tressel. Not outside of, you're going to get Luke Fickell tomorrow for the signing day press conference. Here only, exclusive on Bearcat Journal, you're going to get Mike Denbrock, you're going to get Mike Tressel talking about each of the recruits they signed as well. Big time. Let's go.
Hit the subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, like, unlike, re-like, whatever it takes on YouTube.
Yeah, and this is twice as long as it was supposed to be, but whatever. He's Aaron Smith. I'm Chad Brendel. This is the BCJ Nightcap, brought to you by Galactic Fried Chicken. GalacticFriedChicken.com. Download the damn app.
See ya!